Okay, so we have a bonus Mishlei here today, finishing the 24th parak, I hope. So this is a cluster of 5 psukim. Okay, you'll see why it has to be 5. Wait, I saved this as the wrong file. And I'm going to go ahead and translate just to save time because I want to finish this today. And thankfully, it's straightforward in terms of reading it. Okay, so we're not going to have like cryptic translations here. Okay, so I will translate it as. So al sadeh ish atzel avarti, by the field of a lazy man I passed. Val kerem adam chasar lev, and by a vineyard of a man who lacks heart. Oh, okay. New theory about heart. Yeah, we on the way back we read, or Chizkiyahu read C.S. Lewis, Nin Without Chess. Yeah, which I had read a long time ago. I didn't remember anything about it.
The only thing I know about it is Richard Mitchell references it.
Oh, maybe that's probably what prompted me. All right, so I'm gonna reference this later. I just want to open it now so that I remember. Oh, I also am gonna open this to show you after the knockdown. All right. Okay. So where were we here? Okay. Yeah. So 31. Vihine, and behold, Allah kulo kimshonim. It was all covered with thorns. Yeah. Panav charulim. Its face covered with
thorns.
Yeah, nettles. Yeah. V'geder. V'geder avanav neharasa, and the its stone fence in ruins. I'd say. Oops, sorry, in ruins. 32. The echze anochi, and I beheld. Ashis libi, I paid attention. Ra'isi, I saw. Lakati musar. I took either discipline or rebuke. I think rebuke probably fits in better here. And then this is a repetition of 2 psukim from chapter 6, I believe. Ma'at shenos. I feel like we've done these 2 psukim in chapter 6 before by the ant. This is the psukim that
not Lamed Beis, but I think Lamed Gimel.
No, that's what I'm saying. Lamed Gimel and Lamed Daled. These 2 psukim.
Oh yeah.
Ma'at shenos, a little sleep. Ma'at tnuos, a little slumber. Which is I think tunuma is dozing is a good word for it. A little dozing. Ma'at chibuk yadayim lishkav, a little folding of the hands to lie down. Okay. Uba mishalech reishecha, and your poverty will come like so this is where we get into a little bit of machlokes here. Traveler, I think mishalech is someone who's like making himself go on travel, and your lack like an armed man. Okay. I just want to see how the other translations, I'm not gonna read the whole thing. And your poverty will come like a traveler, and you're like an armed man. That's probably where I got it from. Living Nach says, and your impoverishment arrives unexpectedly. Oh, that's interesting. So he doesn't use it as an analogy. He says, unless I mistyped it, whatever. And your lack like a shielded warrior. Alter says your privation will come like a wayfarer, okay, traveler, and your want like a shield bearing man. Want here meaning like lack. Yeah. Okay. I didn't have time to set this up, so we'll we'll use into this. Yeah. You saying anything else that was drastically different? I'll look it up on this.
There's stuff.
Okay, I'll read it. It's probably short, right? So kimshanim is charulim, minikotim kumo kumosh v'choach b'mivtzareha v'kumo tachas charul yispachu. Okay, fine. So there's thorns. Geder is the kotel, is the wall. Neharasa is milashon harisa v'nititza. So it's a ruin and like uprooting, I think. Of echazeh is inyan re'iyah. So I saw. Chazisa ish mahir. Tinumos is hashin hakala. That's light sleep, dozing. Mishalech is haroik mishalech. Haroik mishalech b'hachasar kaf. Haroik.
The fitting term is canvas halech. It's like a traveler. No.
Yeah. Oh, it didn't say like a traveler. I was understanding it that way, and it's funny. Yeah. Right. Fine. Okay. So it's just missing the kaf, and then reishacha is milashon rash v'oni. Okay. So what are the questions and problems here? Let me close this. Hide.
In 32.
Yeah.
Are all these things? Is it
Yeah.
like 4 different things, or is it one thing?
Right. So I'm just gonna say what's with all the verbs
Yeah.
in 32? What's with all the verbs in 32? Right? Are these 4 things, one thing, or like 4 components of one thing? Right? Like, yeah. Yeah, Sean.
Yeah, in 33, is this 2 separate scenarios, or is it like a
Meaning 33, 34 versus the other ones, or
Meaning you have the field of the lazy man
Yeah.
and the vineyard of the
Number
man who
33. That's
Yeah.
30.
Oh.
The first one.
what,
First-
what- you-
30.
The
30.
first, the first one.
Oh, thanks. Yeah.
Yeah.
Human
So
30.
is the field of the lazy man and the vineyard of the man who lacks heart, is there a commonality between the two of them?
Okay,
Or
right.
are they
Yeah.
2 very distinct people that share?
Okay, right.
some quality?
Are the field of a lazy man and the vineyard of a man who lacks a heart the same thing or different but related things? I'm gonna go Ezra and then I'll go Ariel and David. Yeah.
And is 31 going on each of these 2?
Yeah. Yeah, that leads me to believe that it's the same thing, right? Or yeah. All right. Yeah. So I'm gonna just add this to here. Is 31 going on both? Yeah, Ariel, David?
Yeah,
Did you see the?
is 32 and 33 the rebuke, or is it just
Well, 33 and 34 is the rebuke that he took from seeing this guy. In other words, this is what he saw in 30 and 31. And then he says he took rebuke, and then the contents of the rebuke are 33 and 34. That make sense? Or are they frozen? They appear to be frozen or deep in thought. Yeah, Ezra.
What does it mean for your power to become like a traveler?
Yeah. All right. So what are I'm just gonna go ahead and ask what are the analogies in 34? Yeah. Yeah.
Why are 33 and 34 repeats from earlier on Mishlei?
Yeah, that'll be a side question, which we might not have time to get into. Why are 33 and 34 repeated from earlier on in Mishlei chapter 6? Yeah, because we really have to learn it there in order to get it. Yeah.
What does chasar lev mean?
Yeah. Okay. So what is I'm going to put both definition of laziness in this context and chasar lev. Yeah, Sean.
Yeah, why is this the rebuke that he's getting?
Yeah, that's a good question. Okay, so why is this the rebuke he's getting? Right. Seems like there's a lot of rebukes you can get out of seeing something like that. Yeah.
Is he getting rebuked for watching, or is it is rebuking the lazy person / lacking heart?
So I think plain shot is he's taking for himself a lesson of rebuke from this. That's lokachti musar. Yeah.
This is, I think, an easy question to answer, which I'm asking anyway. How does the person being lazy end up with the fields covered in thorns and idols?
Okay, right. Yeah. So how exactly does laziness and chasar lev result in the dilapidated
Dilapidation.
state of his property?
Yeah, I would even make that. I want to try to make it stronger.
Okay.
I think a lazy person, would I said there's a certain amount of being lazy, but then when you see you're starting to get consequences, then you start to do something.
Yeah, I'll vibe, but yeah, I know. Yeah. In
like,
certain cases, yeah, right. Okay, so then, and why doesn't this guy do anything about it? Yeah, I have a funny answer, but I'm not gonna say it because it's an idea. Yeah.
Yeah. Who's the audience of this lesson?
Right. Yeah, it's strange, right? Because it seems like it's for the lazy person, but it's not talking to him. He's taking his own musar. Who is the audience of this pasuk? And also the question is seems like Mishlei can help the lazy person. The chasar lev, I'm not so sure about, right? I feel like chasar lev is sometimes like a fool, like a seal type attribute or an avil. So yeah, so it's strange. Yeah. I just want to see if there's a chasar lev. I believe chasar lev is usually associated to being the opposite of tvuna, but let me see if I'm imagining this. Oh, I forgot to do my avodah zarah. I usually do that before I come. I'm going to do it now. It's true. All right, hold on. I'm gonna pause the recording while I worship. Hold on. Yeah. Pause. Okay. All right, so we were looking at Chasar Lev. Yeah. So in the main body of Mishlei, at least, Navon and Chasar Lev are opposites. Here, Evilim v'Chasar Lev. That's quality of Evilim. Ish Tvunos is contrasted with Chasar Lev. Interesting here. Ovid Admasi is Balach and Muradif Reikim Chasar Lev. All right, so that's not clear what that is.
The Chasar Lev is not being Yisbalachim, which I feel like is a
that's what I was going to say, but he's also chasing Reikim, which does not seem to be like an Atzel. Ivelis is Simcha to a Chasar Lev, and Ish Tvuna again is the contrast here. And we got ours, yeah. So I wasn't imagining it, but it's not totally consistent. Like there are other types of Chasar Lev. Okay, what else did I just say what I was going to, I was going to ask, why does the pasuk express this idea in terms of an observer taking Musar? Why not just say the Musar, right? And it could have incorporated the wall and stuff like that. Like, does this enhance our ability to take Musar? Strange. Okay.
So
yeah.
All right. So I think my question is similar to what is the analogy of 33 and 34.
Yeah.
But just to ask another side question on that is, it seems like 32 is the person, the passerby, like the one walking.
Yeah.
He sees the field in this condition.
Yeah.
He is almost like that pasuk speaking about him. So my question is, why does it say I took discipline or / rebuke? It almost implies that he's receiving the rebuke versus giving it over, because 33 and 34 is almost like he's giving over the rebuke. So why not say?
So I mean, part of that question I think is included in the combo of these two, of who is the audience and why is it expressing it in terms of the observer. The taking Musar is actually one of the goals of Mishlei. I should read this earlier. Mishlei Shlomo ben David Melech Yisrael l'das chacham Musar l'habim mirbi l'kachas Musar haskel, to take Musar haskel. So this is actually this is consistent with Mishlei's goals. We still have to understand what it means. But I would distinguish between being makabel Musar, like when someone gives it to you and you like accept it and change yourself, versus lakichas Musar seems to be deriving Musar from things.
So that's not really my question.
Okay.
My question, I guess it's a part of who's the audience, but to me, it seems like 32 and 33 and 34 are for two separate people. So my question is it for multiple audiences or just like one? Okay.
So just make sure we got the shot. I think we included that in the question, who's the audience, but this guy is walking by and he sees this thing happen, and then he gets a Mishlei lesson out of it, and he takes it to learn for himself. Now, our question is, like, it seems like there's two audiences. There's the audience of that Musar, right? Which maybe is him, maybe he's not, but it's definitely like an Atzel. And then there's us as the audience that the entire anecdote is being told to. So who are the audiences? Who's the audience or audiences?
Or another question is what's the scenario really? Because
I'll just ask this. What is the scenario? Yeah, Sean?
Yeah, tacking on to question 4.
Yeah.
What are the meanings of all these different verbs? Well, yeah, that's the question.
Oh, sorry. What are the meanings of all these verbs?
Are these 4 things one thing?
That's what I meant by what was all the verbs. But I'll make it more specific. Okay, what do each of these mean? Yeah.
I have an idea, but
okay. I feel like we're ready for the idea now, because I think we should try to. The trick here is you got to keep a bird's eye view.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I think other people had ideas first.
Oh,
I don't want to jump ahead.
Okay.
Even though I'm very excited about my idea.
Yeah, Ariel, David.
Yeah, just another question.
Yeah.
What's with all the Ma'atim in Laman
Oh, yeah, right. That's a good point. Yeah, 33. So let's just understand what's going on in 33. Yeah, so what is going on in 33? What's with all the ma'at?
Just a little bit of that.
Yeah. Ugh. Not working. There we go. Ma'at. Okay. Ugh, whatever. Frustration. What's with all the ma'ats? There we go. Okay.
Also,
Yeah.
one more question.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is actually a question, but the saying on its face, it had thorns. Is there something?
I think that's just how you say like surface in Hebrew. Yeah.
Okay.
Like al pnei hadama. Yeah. Ariel, David?
Yeah, just one more question.
Yeah.
Why? Okay, so I don't know if we asked this, but why does the passerby need the musser?
Yeah, it's part of the audience question. Yeah.
Okay, it's part
Yeah.
of that.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead, Isaac.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so this is actually not going to explain anything about the hot cell,
Okay.
but I think the reason why I think these 5 psukim are much more talkative and is that I think that the main idea is 32. I
Okay.
think Shlomo is showing you how to take Musar
Yeah.
from other people's consequences. He's saying like he's describing the bad state that someone else is in.
Yeah.
And I think like the picture he's painting is you see that this field is overgrown, and the walls collapsed, and you're like you can deduce, clearly the person who owns it isn't taking care of it.
Mhm.
And then he's saying like he's describing doing that and like looking at that, thinking about it and taking Musar, and then he's describing what the in 33 where he's describing what the what the principle is.
Right.
And I think so
It's modeling
how to do this, which I think also makes sense at the end of
I was gonna say
Yeah.
this answers a question that we didn't ask, which is I don't know if it's a legitimate question, but but since we have an answer, so why is this the last psukim, this cluster? Why is this cluster the last psukim in the entire like main section of Mishlei? Okay, which is chapters 10 through 24. Yeah.
And so I say it's like you like he's like here like this is here's like up until now it's been he's giving you chachma.
Yeah.
And he's like go
Yeah.
go out
You want more Mishlei?
Yeah.
Go out into the fields and look at things. Yeah. I also want to just tie that back to the intro to Mishlei, that not only does he say L'kachas Musar Haskel, but he alludes to this idea that you're saying in 20 and 21. Chachmos b'chutz tarona barchovos titin kola barosh homios tikra b'fiskei sharim ba'ir amraha tomer. So wisdoms sing out in the outside, in the streets they give forth their voice. At the heads of our school says noisy throngs, okay, meaning like crowded places that with lots of noise. At the openings of gates in the city, it says, and he gives an example. But the question is like, how do you like tune into this chachma that's blaring all around? And this is the example. Okay, I think it's good. I don't know if I'm sold on the idea that is the whole purpose of the whole thing.
Yeah.
I don't think you have to say that, but in order to say your idea.
I think what I'm saying is there's an idea that he's talking about.
Yeah, right.
And then
The reason why he's framing it this way,
like wrapped in this other idea about how to.
Correct. Yeah, I think that answers most directly the question: why does he frame it this way? And framing it this way teaches us this idea of it models for us how to get Mishlei. And then there's the question of what the idea itself is. Yeah, Ezra, and then Arlen.
Just to bolster that point.
Yeah.
I think in 32, like the order, like the echazeh anochi.
Yeah, and echazeh is a weird word, by the way.
So, echazeh is like a lot of times like chazon, like
nevuah,
vision,
right?
like a
Yeah,
or a dream.
A choseh is a
Even-
navi, right?
even
Yeah,
like the pasuk that Mitzvah Tzion quotes, chazisa ish, is like, you're not seeing it, you're like imagining it. So like this doesn't have like he has no idea if the guy's holding his hand and dozing off.
right.
He's imagining in this case because like his Mishlei has led him to like
Yeah,
to this point where he's able
Okay,
to
that's
like,
good.
picture how this came about.
right.
And like this order is also like specific. Echazeh, like first you have to like go into like the dream,
Yeah.
and then like like pay attention to like what you're seeing, and then like actually like behold, like see what's happening.
Yeah, right. Okay, so that's a good shot of Achza, and I think this also like I've seen Rabbi Moskowitz, do this type of activity of like taking Musar from things that he saw. And when this happened in high school, there would always be kids who'd be like, well, how are you to know that was what was going on in the person's head? Or how, that's not the point. Yeah. The point is, if you want to, you can make two choices. Look, we're not condemning this person. We're not saying that we have omniscience, but there's two choices. You could either just say, well, I don't know anything about this person and I'm going to not learn anything. Or you can say, okay, well, if this were the case, what would be the Musar that I would take out of this? Like maybe this person is terminally ill and that's why they're, but that's not going to give you any Musar, and so like this is, it's a derech in, so it's really, this is, I think you're raising a point that this is not a derech in even like analyzing people. It's like using people and their behavior as an impetus for like analytical Mishlei thinking that can derive new Mishlei psukim. Yeah.
And I think I really like that explanation of Echazeh.
Yeah.
And I feel like it also, when you have this type of insight, it's like being like seized by a vision.
Yeah.
Not just like, oh, I thought about it. I think like the sense of like getting in the Vua almost.
Yeah. Yeah. Now here's the thing: is what we have to do is then since Adahas Asis Lahachi, we have to like decode all the words. Okay, so Echazeh we've got at least a theory about. Ashis Libi, I think, means the choice to actually invest time and energy into thinking about this thing, like applying your mind. Now Ra'isi is the hard one because you think Ra'isi is the beginning. And then it leads to Echazeh the way you're saying it, and L'kach Limos is the easy one also.
I think what I was trying to say was that like Echazeh is just like you're going into like this imagination.
Yeah.
Ashis Libi is like putting like your actual like willpower into like thinking about the scenario, and then Ra'isi is like actually picturing your guy like laying there.
Oh, okay. So I misunderstood you then. Are you saying that this event never actually happened? Of him passing by?
33, 34 did not happen. He saw the house, and then he's like, how did this happen? Then he like pictures in his mind like some.
Oh, okay. So then, wait. So then, tell me again. What is Ra'isi then?
Ra'isi is in this vision. He like actually now has.
Okay, in the vision, he's seeing
goes
something.
Into a vision,
right.
He like latches on and like pays attention to it, and then he like sees
the scenario playing out. Right. So this is Ra'isi in his mind's eye.
Yes.
In his Libi, Ashis Libi with his mind's eye. Yeah. That's interesting. And I think the reason why it says Ra'isi, this is the same shot as Rabbi Moskowitz in Ezil Chacham Haroeh Es Hanolad. That why do Chazal say Haroeh Es Hanolad, like one who's a Chacham, one who sees the consequences, as opposed to one who knows the consequences. He says that it has to be, in order to reach the emotions, it has to be as real to you as though you're seeing it, which means you have to flesh it out in all of its detail. And like, even for non-visual people, you do have to like construct the detailed, the detailed things. And this is a classic mistake in my high school Mishlei class. Then we had a recurring assignment involved them doing taking the puzzle, coming up with a title, a 4-sentence summary, and then a real world example. And they had to do that for like all the psukim we learned. And the mistake was for the real world example. Sometimes they would just like say the idea and then just like plug in someone's name. Like, the point of the example is to make it vivid so that it impacts you, and that's why, that's why like watching movies and TV shows and reading books also is like a great way to get this right easy. Like you really flesh out an emotionally impactful example. Yeah, sorry, I interrupted you.
Can you just say what Ra'isi is?
Ra'isi is, so let me go through all four again. So Echazeh is the Mishlei infrared layer, like goes over everything, and like first is Avarti, right? Is the actual real world event, right? You're passing by and then you experience something or you witness something. Echazeh is you go into this mode of like, what if there is some Mishleic force at play here, right? Now, at that point, you can choose to just ignore it or like say, who are you to judge, but then you Ashis Libi, you say, okay, no, I'm going to think about this. I'm going to mull over this and think about this. And then Ra'isi is you construct in your mind what the Mishleik's decision-making took place that resulted in all of this, but you flesh it out in vivid terms, and then you formulate the idea, the Mishleik idea that comes from it. Yeah, that's good. All right, I like this idea. Yeah, Ariel and David. New idea?
Yes, so,
Yeah.
so that's just to summarize that idea. Essentially, it has to do with taking real life examples and squeezing out Musar from it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
You gotta have a
Now,
Mishlei juicer in your mind. Fresh
yeah,
squeezed Mishlei every morning.
so, yeah, I really like that idea. I was
Yeah.
also wondering, I wonder if the other side of that coin is, and this isn't, I'm not suggesting that this is the main idea of this Psukim. I think that Isaac's idea is like the main idea, but I wonder if like another aspect of, now that you're aware of this, of what's going on, I wonder if a part of that muster is to, like, okay, you see this is happening, you see this is like this, the reality of this specific situation.
Yeah.
Maybe a part of your responsibility is to see what you can do to help this guy out.
Yeah, that could be. I don't see that in the pasuk, but I that would be an implication. That would be an implication. Yeah. Yeah, Sean. Oh, sorry. I didn't realize you. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, yeah, just one other thing also, I don't know if Isaac or Ashad said this. There also seems to be, insofar as being able to take his musar, the very fact that he's looking at someone else, I think is a big part of what enables him to do this. There would be he himself. And I think also to the question of why isn't this person helping himself out? Maybe. But I think very, very much insofar as being able to take these Mishlei lessons, then that it can happen when you're looking at someone else and seeing what's going on poorly with them. But when you try to do it to yourself, it's not very much more difficult to do.
Agreed. Yeah, that was another Rabbi Moskowitz Mishlei tip is you should always start off in your development with like looking for Mishlei, like foolish mistakes in other people. And then one day, like you'll be walking on and you'll see that and you'll be like, oh no, and you'll realize that it's you. And then your attention will focus to yourself. And even if you get some sort of like low lishma kick out of like I'm seeing this mistake that this guy made and like he's not seeing it and like you feel superior, obviously that can lead to bad midos, but like don't suppress that if it's going to prevent you from learning the Mishlei insights. Like, and remember, it's not a judgment in the sense of like you can see someone smoking cigarettes and like know that they have consequences from that, and like learning about the consequences is not like automatically a judgment and a condemnation of the person. Like they could be involved in this for many reasons, but like the ideas stand on their own,
Just adding on to David's question, it's interesting that like the Psukim is really focused on other examples. I wonder if it's possible, or maybe it's even difficult to see your own life and challenges and take muster from yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if I just wonder if psychologically it's because it's difficult to see your own flaws and from it.
Yeah, that complements what David's saying. Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Okay, Sean.
Any approach?
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to start with 33.
Okay.
And essentially summarize 33 as cutting corners.
Mm-hmm.
So anytime that you cut corners, so then 34, your poverty will come like a traveler.
Yeah.
So what does it mean that your poverty is going to come like a traveler? So travelers come unexpected.
Yeah.
So I think a person thinks that if they cut corners, so they'll be able to see when the cutting corners is adding up. And usually what ends up happening is you cut corners and you don't realize that you're just putting more and more tension on the dam, and suddenly it's going to burst.
Yeah.
And then what happens is your lack is like an armed man. So what does it mean for lack to be like an armed man? So the armed man actually has value. He has whatever treasure it is that he's taken from you, but it's completely guarded by things that are very difficult to surpass and over and to get rid of. And so the idea of like the entire thing being covered with thorns and the stone faces in ruins and the faces covered with nettles, all these things are exterior things that make it very difficult to actually mine out the value of the thing which you want to have. And if you properly treat things and you don't cut corners, then you're actually going to be able to mine out the value of whatever it is. But if you cut corners, so then it's going to lead to these disastrous.
That's okay. That's a good shot. I meant to say, by the way, in the facts, not to discount what you're saying, but you remind me there is a simple shot of the armed man, which is the amendment about quartering soldiers. We can look on the internet.
What's it called? It's
did they use the word quartering?
Yeah, he was
quartering troops. The third amendment, it forbids the housing of military service members in private homes without the consent of the owner. So I think we take it for granted because or in America. But back then, it's just like the king could just say, okay, we're sending all the soldiers, and like they're just going to take up residence in your house and just like use all your stuff and whatever. So so I don't know what the difference is between traveler and armed man, but that interpretation is saying that they're very similar. But I hear what you're saying also. That's leaning into the mushal. Yeah.
Yeah, with it enchanted. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think armed men is also. It's not just like I think with the traveler, you can be like like you can let's say he's asking for things, so you can choose how much to give. But, but the thing is, once your property comes, you can't just like get it. You get it like you can't just undo the things that you did. It's not just like oh, I was cutting corners a little bit, so now I just need to do a little bit extra to cut.
Right.
It's like now your wall collapsed, and now you have to like build a new wall.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, the shot with the wall also, by the way, is that the wall protects your vineyard and your field from like people who are coming to steal or animal. I don't know what it is, but like, if it's broken down, you can't just like. Yeah,
it's like you weren't doing the maintenance, and now it's not just like, oh, you need to do the maintenance work.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, the wall's broken. And build a whole new wall.
Yeah. I want to actually go back to Isaac's interpretation, and then I think let's just look at that C.S. Lewis thing, because I think the heart thing fits in here. Okay, let's see. I only heard this in Please Get His voice. Where is wait? Is this the actual essay, or is this a? No.
The second link when you searched it looks
more
promising. No.
Yeah. Oh, C.S. Lewis Institute sermons. Okay. And wait a minute.
There's also something.
Oh. Full text. I'll do full text. Full text. It's in Hebrew. Full text. WordPress.
PDF. Yeah.
10 pages. That looks about the right amount, unless it's an essay. Okay, yeah, this is it. Okay, it's just gonna go everything until we get to. It's late in the essay when he says it. Yeah, he says. This whole thing you have to read, but okay. So he says, as the king governs by his executive, so reason in man must rule the mere appetites by means of the spirited element. The head rules the belly through the chest. The seat, as Alanus tells us, of magnanimity, of emotions organized by trained habit into stable sentiments. The chest magnanimity sentiment. These are the indispensable liaison officers between cerebral man and visceral man. It may even be said that it is by this middle element that man is man, for by his intellect he is mere spirit, and by his appetite mere animal. So I had my own theory of lave, because in Tanakh, that lave is sometimes used for mind and sometimes used for emotions, but I want to say that lave is like the center of the person, like the person's core. I don't know how it relates to Bechira, but like the values, I guess, would be the closest thing in English, but I wasn't quite happy with that. But it allowed for that flexibility of, if you're talking about a chacham, then a chacham lave is someone, the lave is going to be characterized by like knowledge and thinking. And if it's a chasar lave, then it's going to be characterized by emotions. But I like this model also of that you have really three components. You've got the head, you've got the like instinctual part of you, and then like this mediating factor. And I don't want to like make a commitment to like the model, but in our idea that we had in Isaac's idea this morning is that that this step of Musar is really speaking to the lave, you can have the idea, but it's not going to really affect your emotions unless you take it to heart, as we say in English, and so I think that fits in really well. And there was another thing I wanted to see also. Yeah.
And then also how it connects to the opposite of a navon is that like that person has it like drilled into their chest.
Right.
So that, it's just like they can extract.
Right. Right. They've internalized it in that way. Are you commenting on what I just said, or is this a new thing?
It's a question on the ideas.
Okay, sure. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. I don't know if we asked this, but what stops someone from getting or thinking about that muster? Did we ask that?
From deriving it or from like?
Yeah, because I feel like it's
Yeah.
a two-step process. Is seeking it out and deriving it.
Good
So
question. I mean, what it really reminds me of is my shot in the Eino Yudea Lishol in the Haggadah. So you've got the Chacham, the Ben Chacham, the Ben Rasha, the Ben Tam, and then the Eino Yudea Lishol. And I think Rabbi Zucker was the first one to point out to me that Eino Yudea, people translate Eino Yudea Lishol as he doesn't know how to ask. But it's not. That's not what it means. It's Eino Yudea. That would be Eino Yudea Eich Lishol. This is he doesn't know to ask. Okay, and the Mefarshim point out that there's a commonality between the Ben Rasha and the Eino Yudea Lishol because we use the same answer to them. So just like there's a Chacham and a Tam that are like paired together, that both of them are like on the good path inquisitively. The Eino Yudea Lishol is grouped with the Rasha, and that's a little weird if you're looking at Maxwell House Haggadah with the baby who just, so my understanding of the Eino Yudea Lishol is that he does not know that this is the type of thing that questions can be asked about or that there is chachma in, like he just doesn't, like he's closed off to the chachma, not because he's rebelling against it like the Russia, but because this thing has no content, and therefore he just doesn't ask about it. And that's a type of rishus. I'm not blaming him. You kind of have to do this, the echazeh with the arba, not actual children, but like, archetypes. So I think, I don't know if this is the only reason, Ariel. I think there's like a lot of reasons, but I think that probably the most statistically common reason is people don't know how to think like this. So they don't ask these questions when they see people. They just will chalk it up to intrinsic things like fundamental attribution error of just saying like, oh yeah, this guy's a lazy guy. And that's it. They won't think about, no, the laziness comes from faulty decision-making that could be overcome through chachma. And they also don't know the derech of Mishlei ideas, Mishlei analysis, so they don't have the tools to, like, even if they wanted to, they don't have the tools to be able to do it. So it's good that Shlomo trained us in this, because by the time you get through here, then you know it. I don't think it's one answer is my point, but I think that's, to me, like that's the most common cause. I wanted to quickly.
You said two things that's interesting. One is, is the methodology in asking questions, and to me that seems like universal. Any area in your life, you come across, like, you'll just naturally be asking questions. But you also said something interesting that, like, there are specific things that you'll just be more drawn into to ask questions, and there are others that's not even in your world. You just like don't even think about that.
Right.
So it's almost like they're two separate instances. So, like, I guess the question is for the second thing, like, how do you could have that methodology in thinking, but if you're not drawn into it or whatever reason, like, because even us, we have that. So how do we put ourselves in a situation to do that consistently?
Right. I think that the more you learn Mishlei and value its ideas, the more you'll want to get it wherever you find it. And then you'll start seeking it out, and then it'll become a priority, like any case where you see someone make some bad decision and you don't do this, it's like just a wasted opportunity, like I think motive wise, to me, that's what's going to change. Again, I think there are many answers to these questions. That's just what comes out to me at this time. Yeah.
Can you just go over the definition of lave again?
I'm not decided on it. C.S. Lewis is saying that lave is the mediator between the cerebral part of yourself and the visceral part, like the like raw emotions, and how I'm implying that here is that in order to make that step and really affect the visceral part of you, you need to go through this process of really like fleshing out the example and then extracting the Musar point and and then speaking in the language of the emotions. Yeah.
So maybe I have a slightly different take on what Chasar Lev is in this book.
Yeah.
It's because I think Chasar Lev is the person who's making.
Right. Correct. Yeah. I wasn't applying that to Chasar Lev here. I was applying that to Ashi's Libi.
Oh.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think for the Chasar Lev is the person where he doesn't have anything mediating between his mind and his emotions. It's just whichever stronger.
Yeah.
And then
right. Okay, I see that. Yeah, right. Just it wins out, meaning Okay, I want to do something. I want to quickly read the psukim in 6. And I think there's we can extend Isaac's derech there also. Go to the ant, you Otzel, and see its ways and grow wise. Though there is neither officer nor guard nor ruler over her, she prepares her food in the summer and stores up her food in the harvest time. How long will you recline, O Otzel? When will you arise from your sleep? That part's different. A little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding the hands to recline, and you probably become like a traveler and you're lacking like an armed man. So I don't know what all this ant stuff means, but the go to the ant and learn is similar to you pass by the field of lazy person and learn. I wonder if these are two different drachim of like, extracting musar. Yeah.
Yeah, I think like you can either see like you can see a good example and a bad example.
Yeah.
Like
oh, that's true.
also-
That's a good distinction. Yeah.
Am I pausing, please?
Yeah, 1 second. Yeah, the other thing I was wondering is it is funny because like, I think what made me think of this is your explanation of Echazeh is what he's doing with this ant. Ants don't actually make decisions based on Chachma and Musar. But what you're doing is you're like, okay, if I saw a person who was like as efficient as an ant, like if I personify this ant and then extract Musar from it, then like what would I see? And I would see that the ant is, well, let's see what idea I wrote here. This is just old notes. According to Mishlei, laziness is the compulsive need to avoid all immediate pain and conflict. In order to overcome laziness, the lazy person must be like the highly anthropomorphized ant, who is motivated neither by fear of punishment nor by commands of authority figures. That's the not having any chief or whatever, but by practicality, by the long-term benefits of his actions, which are real to his mind. Wait, hold on just a second. Namala is female, right? In law, yeah. Okay, sorry. Like wait, where is it here? But her actions, which are real to her mind. Okay. Additionally, the lazy person must guard against cultivating habits of laziness, such as indulging in short breaks and naps. And keyword indulging. It doesn't mean you shouldn't take a break or a nap. The indulgence is the problem, since this will only increase his compulsive need to avoid immediate pain and conflict and will anchor him to his laziness. He needs to realize that there will be disastrous consequences, and when they come, they will, in his perception, come swiftly and without warning, which is the very type of immediate pain and conflict he seeks to avoid. Right. So that's the thing, is like the person who is folding his hands and then now is faced with the decision, do I get up off of the couch or not? That's an immediate conflict. And he tries to avoid that by sinking further into the couch. And then he's like dozing as he tries to avoid that. And then the Mishlei Mida Keneged Mida is when the consequences come. It is unexpected because he hasn't been looking at this, at this coming. And it, like, in other words, in the framework of laziness, the thing you're trying to avoid as a lazy person, you're going to get times 10, in the end. While I'm here, let me just see if I wrote about hours. Let's see here. 24. Where did it start with? 30.
30.
I did. Let's see what I wrote. Okay, so I started off, oh no, did I just, oh, here we go. Yeah. So I started off the same way. No, I didn't. According to Mishlei, laziness is the compulsive need to avoid all immediate pain and conflict. In other words, laziness isn't a problem tied to particular actions and activities, but an orientation towards reality itself. To the lazy person, the prospect of immediate pain and conflict is a turnoff, no matter how large or small the task may be. Thus, not only will the lazy person suffer the consequences of failing to take care of time-sensitive responsibilities, that's how I was learning the storing up for the summer, right, or for the winter, but he will also suffer the cumulative consequences of neglecting upkeep tasks, even though these tasks require very little effort. In his mind, pushing off a little task like this won't have any major consequences. What he doesn't realize is that the habit of continually pushing off these little tasks will eventually add up and will destroy him. And I'll add everything we said here about like it creating like they compound. It's not just a quantitative increase, but like once your wall is broken down, that opens up a whole new host of problems. Or like once it is, once you have like an overgrown yard, like if you were just mowing the yard when the grass is getting a little bit, tall, then that's like a relatively easy thing. But the whole thing's overgrown and like, with brambles and all this other stuff, then that's like a much larger task. All right. Okay. I guess we're officially at our stop time. Should we stop here, or I'm fine stopping, or unless you want to do one in the portion, whatever you guys want.
Should do one before-ish. Why not? It's the last year bonus run anyway.
Okay.
Let's 15.
Right, let's do the
Yeah.
Meiri. Yeah.
I mean, I can say a little bit later, but
Okay.
I'm going to need to go.
All right.
Not.
That's fine.
Yeah.
I feel like we kind of need to get a Derek Nister here. That's why I'm kind of
Yeah.
looking at the Meiri. Unless he just says, "Oh, I explained this in 6," and then
I see Uberderach Nifter right here.
Okay. All right.
And then a bunch of paragraphs.
A bunch of paragraphs before or after?
After.
Okay.
It's
All
probably not all there. For sure.
right. So yeah, I don't want to go too much longer either.
It's on.
Yeah, here we go. Okay, so we're gonna start from the beginning. Hey, Arali he's daris ba'avodas ha'adama. So this is musar to be diligent in farming. Also, other malachos. So he's using the most important one. It caused, like it brought forth growth, I think. Kumo alu bukula. Okay, fine. The kimshonim remez al kol achas mehen kumo benos saada. Kimshonim b'charulim hemini atad v'kots v'dardar. V'geter bab medashin nekeva klomero neharasa uvaha era ilu hu avar sham rivra. Okay, so he's not learning that this happened. He's expressing it as though this actually happened. V'hodia sheha'atzla mikalkelis ha'inyanim me'at me'at ad tachlis. And he's making known that the laziness destroyed things little by little until the utmost state. So first it was kimshonim. Oh, he's dealing this as a progression. That's nice. When they were kimshonim, they were soft or they were pliable, right? And you could remove them easily. Once he was lazy in this, Kisu panav charulim, klomer ad shegadlu, they grew, v'ad shenis kasu pnei hasadeh v'hakerem v'hem v'havarasim kasha. So now it's spread all over everything. It's like weeds growing everywhere. Now you have to getting rid of weeds is way harder than just like scraping off some stuff or whatever. I'm not a gardening person, I don't know. All right, he still could, if he wanted to, strive and like fix it. That's some pasuk I don't know. Parutz gedro v'haya lemir mas hasir misukaso v'haya leve'er. Okay, so these are all destructive psukim that like now it's totally like desolate and bad. Hu inyan shloshas ha'etos ha'achronos me'arba ha'etos shekvar hiskarnu. I don't know what it's referring to. V'amar al zeh ve'echze anochi klomer shabir oso kazeh nasan libo al hadavra v'lakach musar lehizar mimidas atzlak inyan ba'onosh leitz yachkam pesi. Right. So when the leitz gets punished, the pesi should become wise. So he's telling you that poverty is going to come through this. Same thing in all the malachos. Okay, so we're not going to look there this time. Okay, blah blah blah. All right, Derek Nister. Derek Nister. Darshu Rizal al Talmid Chacham Atzel Sheinu Mechazer al Talmudo. So it's Talmid Chacham who's lazy, who doesn't review SHIUR, who doesn't review his learning. Not just here. First, he forgets the heads of the chapters. And by the end, he mixes up this for this and this for this. Oh, we had two sofs here. Omer al tahor tamid al tamid tahor. So I guess the middle one is like mixing up the facts or the principles, and then the dinim is the last one. We actually like make halachic errors. V'nimsa machrivas olam, and he destroys the world. Havi v'geter avanav neharasa. Okay, uvmakom acher darshuhu harishlo lama Torah o shlama Torah v'lonis asikba minayin shosofo lahaniach shnaim ushlosha devarim beparsha. How do we know that if a person learned Torah and didn't learn Torah, or he learned Torah and was not osik in it, that at the end he will leave behind 2 or 3 things in the parsha? I don't know what that means. Tamlomer Allah kulo kimshonim. Allah kulo kimshonim. Where are we now? Iri. Oh, here he is. Minayin mevakesh pischa shel parsha of eno motze. So he's talking about the actual parsha, I guess, right? Parshios in the Torah. From where do we know that he'll look for the opening of the parsha and not find it? Tamlomer kisupanav charulim. Ratzalomer shniskasa mimeno. It'll be hidden from him. But alav hu omer v'geter avanam neharasa shemitoch shira shalom amda biyado. Once he sees that he's not successful in it, also, that's an interesting thing. That's psychologically, once you see that you start to forget your learning and you're not holding it anymore, then you will not rationalize. The cognitive dissonance will make you like barrel ahead anyway and still like act like someone who knows the halacha, and like you end up like poskening, incorrectly. So it's comparing drishas seeking chachma to working the land. So just like the good farmer will open up the earth through the initial plowing, softening the soil, and he'll plow a second time, and second and third time based on the nature of the earth, of the land. Then he will Yisra is to plant. Yedor, I don't know what, I know Adarim are like sheep, but I don't know what it is here. And Yinafash, is it resting? I don't know. Kach mider hatalmid hatov, same thing with a good talmid. Yeshana v'yachzor v'yisbonin v'falfel ba'atmo k'via roy. He'll learn, he'll review again, he'll contemplate, he'll analyze himself based on what is roy, until he arrives at the proper ideas. And just like the lazy farmer, it'll be enough for him to own up the land, but then it'll grow thorns and thistles and cover the pnei asada. Does it go into the next column? Oh, so too with the lazy student. So his chachma will become plagued, covered with confusions and difficulties and more confusions. And because of that, he'll reverse the truths. And he won't be able to tell the difference between truth and falsehood. I think he's using nachash here as the Tahara. Yeah, Kamodat Amar Katiferis Adam Lashevis Bias. Allah Kim Shonim of Coach Vidardas Miachlach, because of All right, this is a whole separate module here. Where do you explain my Sabrashis? Malamid Hatamidim Mikates. Okay, I don't know what that is. We get Hashem. So getting kicked out of the Sade is like getting kicked out of Ganein V'yachas Hasade La'adam Kibo Hatavua. Okay, we were done with. Oh no, we've got one more. I thought I didn't have the other page. Hold on, is this? Yeah, I'm just skimming through this part because we'd have to analyze the Adam Chava thing like way more in depth. Is there any more Miri?
Yeah,
top. Okay. There we go. Davar shemi uto yafe v'ruba mutar ubilti tzarach. When niru, is this it? Oh, and he goes more. Okay, yeah. I think we got enough for for this. Yeah. All right. So I think the main idea we got was the how to learn Mishlei. So fitting how to learn Mishlei from life. And I think the key point is that it is a multi-step process that could be interfered with in many places. You know, like not learning the skills, not like being aware of this constructive state of mind, and then choosing to pay attention, and then actually fully fleshing everything out, and then formulating the ideas. I think that's another step that like you can go part way, but let's say you just make a really vivid scenario, but you don't formulate the Mishlei idea, then that's like not going to connect the mind. Yeah.
I think also according to Miri and according to what we were saying about is that like you have to repeat it and like drill into your heart.
Yeah, right. You really have to, to acquire the lathe. Okay, this is good. I'm glad we got this bonus time. All right, I'm gonna stop this for now. See you guys.
All right, Shkach, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.